Hey guys!
Hey guys!
We're the Dorkeries.
We're the Dorkeries.
Dorkery. Three
Three
is a magic
weeks.
number.
Three is a magic number. But there's
Oh,
only two
easy.
of us.
Be easy. Yeah. Well, there's three of
There are
watching.
3 weeks until San Diego
Woo!
Comic-Con.
The biggest event.
Are on our Dorkery countdown, which pretty much means for the entire month leading up to San Diego Comic-Con, this is all we talk about and all we plan for in the Dorkery home.
Yep.
So thank you to all of you that have been watching and getting pumped up with us and sharing in the excitement and sharing your own stories with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
and
we're on week 3.
We're on week 3, and we were waiting for probably the biggest announcement that we wait for every year is somebody going to be there. And,
Somebody.
you know, somebody going to be there. Is it going to be like, is it going to be Riverdale cast? Is it going to be the new Twilight movie? Is it going to be
coming?
Is it going to, no. It's none of those things. There's only one thing that matters. Of course, we love all things Comic-Con. But there's only one announcement that makes Comic-Con even bigger than what it already is. One person shows up. One studio shows up, Lady Dorkery.
And it becomes...
It changes everything. It's like Endgame.
Marvel!
So
Like you didn't know.
MCU.
Like you didn't know that's
so
what
last Friday.
It's probably in the title of this video.
Yeah, so last Friday, Kevin Feige was at the Thor Love and Thunder, which
Yeah.
we're excited to see. He was at the press junket, and of course, there was probably a question planted out there because...
Kevin Feige plans everything.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a guy that always... He's like a chess player. He's thinking
Yes.
several moves ahead. So he threw that question out there, and they said, hey, are you coming to San Diego Comic-Con? And Kevin Feige's like, bro, yes.
Am I going to San Diego?
Now, this was after a report, by the way, of somebody on Twitter who's been found
Speculated.
No. They were trying to be like, make their name bigger and say, Marvel Studios is not coming to Comic-Con because of D23, which is, you know...
Okay, but no hate.
Absolutely, but if they look at the history, Marvel Studios has come many times the same year as D23. Because at D23, you have to share with...
Yeah, you share with Star Wars, you share with Disney, and it's a very...
And they get like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But at Comic-Con, they get 90 minutes, and the whole world's watching them.
Yeah.
And the audience in Comic-Con versus the audience in D23, and we've been to both, they're totally
And we've
separate.
been to both, like, back to back.
Yeah.
So there was one year where D23 was the week before Comic-Con.
Yep.
We went to both.
Yeah. And
we saw both panels.
Yep.
We saw all of the cast of Avengers. We saw they were all there.
Yeah.
But no announcements.
No announcements. It was
A
just
few days later, went to Comic-Con and saw the same cast there. However, you got an hour and plus more of announcements. Announcement. It was 2 totally different events.
I almost feel like D23 is like for the shareholders and for the Disney, like people that are just like, they're very broad Disney fans. Comic-Con's very specific. They're after like, you know, the geeks, the nerds, the comic book nerds, and they want to say, hey, you know, you're the guys and gals that have helped us get to our level that we are, MCU's gotten, so we're going to reward you.
Yeah.
So they're coming. They're going to be at Saturday, Hall 8, Saturday night, which means there's a lot going into that. So what do we normally have to do, Lady Dorkery? Like
I've never seen a night panel from Marvel.
This is different.
I've seen a night panel from DC, from
Warner
CW.
Brothers. Yes. Yep.
But I've never seen a night panel from Marvel. So I have a lot of questions about how this is going to affect our whole weekend because normally we get in line Friday morning and we get wristbands Friday night.
Yep.
We sleep outside and we're let in Saturday morning.
Yep.
So is that going to be the same process? We get let in Saturday morning and then we cannot leave the hall until Saturday night?
A lot of questions out there, but that'll all come out there. But let me ask you this. Because in 2019, when MCU was there, they announced the whole Phase 4. I think we waited a total of, and this is where a lot of people are going to be like, whoa. We waited a total of 18 hours, I believe, to get in there. So, was it worth it?
Absolutely, it was worth it. It's always worth it. They never disappoint.
They never disappoint.
And when they know that you're waiting that long,
they're like,
they do their best. you pump them up, and they're like, dude, they've been waiting for us for this long.
Yeah.
We've got to do something.
Yeah. So, and Feige loves San Diego Comic-Con. So, definitely, I think, and of course, even that day, we'll get to that in a minute. Normally what happens in the morning is Warner Brothers, and I still think it's going to be Warner Brothers in the morning, and then at Marvel at night. But what's so interesting is everybody also kind of like some of the other studios, when Marvel Studios comes, they're like, we're good. We don't want to come. Because they're like, they know that once Marvel Studios, like everybody else completely forgets about everything else that has happened at that point. So what are some things that we're expecting in the MCU panel? Well, obviously we got a lot of movies still to come. I mean, there's some that are already
still to come.
Still to come. They're in the can. They're in the can. So we got the Black Panther. You excited about the new Black Panther?
I'm excited about Black
Yeah.
Panther.
What are they going to do with Chadwick Boseman's? How are they going to fill that void that's going to be in there? I think it's going to be great. You got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. So
That's exciting.
With King the Conqueror. Yeah.
And anytime you can see Paul Rudd, that's
it's great. I mean, and Paul Rudd, as we all know, saved the entire Marvel universe. And there's no, they're not all coming back if it wasn't for Scott Lang, Ant-Man. I mean, he's the guy that saved
the world.
Saved the world, and he never gets the credit. And then you've also got Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yes.
And their holiday special. So you've got those that are probably going to be there as well. So you'll have the whole cast, because James Gunn has already come out and said, oh, really? I mean, what? Marvel's going to be at Hall A? I mean, I'm shocked. I mean, I'm just how I read, because that's how James. If you follow James Gunn on Twitter, that's how he is. He likes to give those little like spoilers and those little teases that, guys, I'll be there. And by the way, when James Gunn brings Guardians, you remember what happened?
Oh my God!
last
time they came out in full
the Ravagers.
Makeup.
They were all there, like
in full
even
makeup.
Taserface, Toby from
Yes.
Toby from This Is Us.
Yes.
He was in full makeup.
They were in full makeup.
I mean,
That's
they were.
so cool.
They all came out, and it was just they came from the back. Yeah, it's just going to be amazing. But then I also think that once they kind of do those, they'll do those for the first 15 minutes. And by the way, I think personally, what do you think? Do you think that Disney Plus? I think they'll save Disney Plus for like D23. I think they're just going to be focused on like the movies, like maybe a few things here and there. If they're going to bring those characters into the movie side of things, like maybe a She-Hulk, something like that. But I think overall, I think this is going to be mostly movies.
Well, I don't know, because the last time they did it, they did both, and they gave us that timeline. They gave us that beautiful timeline, so we could have that visual. And it's not that they spent a ton of time talking about Disney Plus as the platform, but they just gave us that timeline of what Marvel was bringing us, and then, oh, by the way, this will be in theater, this will be in Disney Plus. It didn't really have to be about Disney Plus. So I don't necessarily believe that it will be. I think they would. I can't see them leaving out. Streaming has been such a huge part of Marvel over the past year and a half. I can't see them leaving that out.
Fair enough, but I do think that they're going to start talking about Phase 5. And I think he's going to kind of lay out the plans. And I think over the years through Comic-Con, especially with the Marvel panels, they always end, like, especially of what's going to be, like, the big end thing. Like, was it, 1 year it was the Avengers. The very first Avengers. When they'd been there and they talked about Iron Man, and they talked about Thor, and they talked about the individual movies. And then they're like, here's where we're going with this first phase. We're going to end it with the Avengers all together.
Right. And
then they had Infinity War. And then they had Endgame. So what's their next kind of big
that they're building towards?
They're building towards, which I think it's Secret Wars.
Okay.
Which I mean would be huge, but is that what they're building towards? Because I think a phase has to build towards something.
And Kevin Feige always has a plan. I don't think Kevin Feige does anything randomly.
Right. And I think if you have Secret Wars, if that's where you're going, you can't get to Secret Wars without the Fantastic Four.
Yes.
And the mutants, or the X-Men, whatever they end up calling it. So, let me ask you this question. Is your prediction, are they going to announce the cast of Fantastic Four?
I think they have
San Diego
to.
Comic-Con?
They have been holding us at an arm's distance for years, and I think that especially with Doctor Strange that just came out, they have to now tell us what the plan is.
And do you believe the rumors that they were only giving us John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic as just to appease us?
No.
for that one moment, and we'll never see him as Reed Richards in our Earth universe again.
No, absolutely not. That was a teaser.
Yeah.
That was a teaser.
Yeah. All right. You think he's coming out, he's waving, and he says, "I'm your guy."
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to tell you why I also think that is, because I think there's actually a connection to the WB of why I think John Krasinski will be there for Fantastic Four. He will be in that.
No, you talked about
We'll get to that in a minute.
You told me this.
So I think that, and I don't think, I think it's going to be more heavy towards Fantastic Four than it is Mutants, because I feel like, I don't know, this is just me. I feel like that they've kind of just, focused in on that, and they're like, let's get Fantastic Four, because they got a director, or at least they had a director, and I think they're getting closer, and I think they cast them all. So I think they're going to be like, let's save the mutants. So, maybe one little thing like, hey, it's coming. Don't worry about it. We haven't forgot it. But I think this is going to be Fantastic Four centric.
I could see that, except that I feel like Kevin Feige always has to do above and beyond.
So is he going to roll out Patrick Stewart? Is he?
But
There you go. Because Patrick Stewart will be there. He'll be at Comic-Con.
yeah, he will.
He'll be there for Picard.
I just feel like he always has something at the end that he's like, oh, we didn't even have time for this.
Right.
But that's after wave after wave after wave after wave of taking your breath away.
Theory. Because one year, remember he brought out Captain Marvel at the very end. He brought out Brie. Last time, 2019, he brought out Blade. He brought out Marshanda, however you say his name.
Get his name right. You never can do it. You need to practice.
Ali, that guy. So he brought him out. I'm very sorry. But he brought him out, and then maybe he brings out whoever's going to play Wolverine. Mahershala. Maybe he's going to bring out whoever plays Wolverine. Maybe he's going to bring out Professor X. Maybe he's going to bring out, I don't know, whatever your next big X-Men you think is. Maybe he's going to bring out Gambit. I don't fanboy like crazy, and it's not Channing Tatum. But maybe something like that. I can see that. But I think that's what he would do. But Fantastic Four, he's already given the moment, they talk, stuff like that. Then I think Mutants is the last one of, here is the Wolverine, and it's Hugh Jackman, it's somebody else, it's Keanu Reeves, which again,
it's Hugh Jackman's clone that they've been working on and haven't told us about.
I think Keanu Reeves is going to be there as well, because Keanu Reeves is John Wick director's going to be there talking about John Wick 4, and another thing about the Keanu Reeves. So I think they're not going to let us.
We're going to have fun.
See, we're getting
and this is all speculation.
But it's fun to speculate.
It is fun. That is the whole point. We spend this whole month just being like, what's going to happen?
Well, you get your expectations up and you get in there, and what makes it worth sitting 18 hours is whatever your expectations was, they go above and beyond.
They exceed. They've not ever let us down.
So we also heard from Warner Brothers.
Okay.
And they are in a world of flux right now because they've got bought by Discovery.
Yeah.
And they're in cost-cutting mode. So for the first time, in ever, there's not going to be a Warner Brothers or a DC booth on the exhibit floor of San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge gap.
So I'm personally not extremely disappointed about them not having a booth. And I told you this. I like booths that you could actually enter and do something in the booth.
Right.
And their booths are mainly, my opinion, for autograph sessions.
Yeah.
It does.
They don't give out a lot of stuff except the TV guides.
Right. Which I like my TV guides. But yeah, they don't. You still don't even go in the booth for that.
No.
You walk past it.
Yeah, they're like...
It does make me wonder what autograph sessions are going to look like for this year. Because if you take one thing away and you don't replace it with something else, your crowd gets bigger at another area.
That's true.
So I don't know. Are we going to have less and less autographs this year? I will say this about Comic-Con: if you miss out on one thing, there's always something else to experience.
Always.
So you're never let down by the lack of something. Something will always replace it. But I just wonder what's that going to look like.
Right.
Okay, so no booth. Go back.
But they did say they were bringing some things. They were bringing not a lot of CW because they've canceled pretty much everything from CW. So nothing from the CW except for Riverdale.
But we were hoping to see some of the Winchesters.
We were. I was super disappointed that
they're like
not
a
going to be there.
Comic-Con staple.
Yeah, because there's no
us.
Supernatural. But they did say that they're going to bring some films, but they're undecided. But it's all everybody's kind of leaning towards Black Adam, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yep.
And by the way, he's currently filming in Hawaii, so it's just a quick little plane ride over from Hawaii to San Diego. So if he just wants to pop right in and talk about Black Adam, I mean, Dwayne Johnson can pretty much do the entire panel himself. I mean, you just put him on the stage.
Just come out and do some
because he's the biggest rock star on the planet. I mean, as far as movies,
that was me flexing my pectoral muscles.
Can you think of a bigger box office star right now? Bigger than The Rock?
Oh, I'm not gonna compare people.
Well, I'm just saying. So he'll come out Black Adam, and then Shazam. Zachary Levi, he loves Comic-Con. He used to do
Zachary Levi. If you're watching this, bring your books to Comic-Con so we can get some autographed.
Yeah, so he could be there, and then the big one, and you're like,
Radical Love.
You think this is big? You think this is big? Super Pets. Here's why Super Pets is big, and why I think it'd be Comic-Con, and why it's important to all of Comic-Con is because if you look at the cast of Super Pets, Lady Dorkin, you have Dwayne Johnson. He's already there. You have Kevin Hart. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I think he's been to Comic-Con before. And then you also have a Superman and Batman. You have John Krasinski.
Yes.
And Keanu Reeves.
Okay.
Two names that are all over the place with MCU. So they come that morning, they come out for Super Pets, and they wave, and then that night, they get announced of who they're going to be in the MCU. That would be big.
It would be fun.
So I do think Warner Brothers is going to do a panel Saturday morning at Hall H. Not confirmed yet, but I think it's going to be on a much smaller scale because I was reading. You know how much Warner Brothers has spent at Comic-Con in the past? $25 million.
That's a lot.
And when you're in cost-cutting mode, like Discovery is right now with Warner Brothers, they're like $25 million for Comic-Con, and Discovery doesn't know anything about Comic-Con. They're like, no. so they've cut that, but at the same time, they are saying that they're going to bring that. And then one thing too, bags. They're only bringing 2 bags this year, which I know we shouldn't complain.
Now, I'm not complaining.
I'm not complaining, but I'm a little sad.
I know you said it, but that's just the fact. That is what it is. So we actually planned on, we actually planned on having a whole episode of the countdown where we just show bags, but now it's like, well, we're not adding to our bag collection, so why even get them out?
Right.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
They are cutting costs, and we understand why. We are in a year of rebuilding, and that's okay.
I'm just happy to be there. I'm happy to get a bag.
I'm happy to be there. And
I'm happy to have the opportunity to take that bag.
I'm happy to even be there as a rebuilder.
Yeah.
As someone that says, you know what, I'm going to go. I'm going to pay whatever it costs.
Yeah.
Even if it's less than what I'm used to getting so that next year we're better.
Because these guys right here have not gotten any money in they had special edition, but they've hardly got any money in the last 3 years.
So with that being said, this is one of the things that where I'm at, I'm still waiting for emails to come in because we get emails leading up to saying this is how this line will work, this is how this area is going to work. So you said they're cutting back on bags this year.
Yeah.
They're also one of the things that people have complained about, which I don't understand the complaining. No carpet.
No, on the exhibit floor.
That seems like a really easy way to cut cost and it not affect you at all. But where I do wonder if they're going to cut costs is in the Hall H line. Used to, you waited in line for Hall H and it was just a line. And then when the line started getting crazy, they hired extra security and they bought tents and had the entire area tented.
That's true.
Will we be now going back to my Twilight days where I slept out with no tents? The first time I ever camped out for Hall H, there were no tents.
That's true.
Are we going back to those days?
Right. We're just getting roped off. Well, we'll see. A lot of questions to be had, but the one question was answered. Marvel Studios will be there, and Warner Brothers will be there. So that's 2 big studios that are coming, and I think that's going to make Comic-Con in 2022 really big, and it has us excited.
I just want to say thank you to whatever this piece of plastic was that's been on your desk.
Okay.
That I've played
Thank you,
with
piece of
this
plastic.
entire time.
Thank
and
you.
I apologize if that was distracting to you.
But it gave her something to do.
It gave me something to do with my
All right,
hands.
there you go. And in the meantime,
Go jerk yourself.
woohoo! What's something to do with your hands?
That's something to do with your hands.